Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Public Work and Utility Committee on June 22nd, 2020. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Gata.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item would be the approval of minutes for May 4th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, changes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Also, the approval of minutes for the June 1st, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
No additions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Under new business, we have 3 items. The first is request A, approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Hoffman Estates and the Village of Palatine for the joint engineering and construction of an emergency interconnect of water distribution systems. And B, authorization to award contract for engineering services, design, and full-time construction management of an emergency interconnect of water distribution systems of the Village of Hoffman Estates and the Village of Palatine to Baxter and Woodman Incorporated out of Crystal Lake, Illinois, in a total amount not to exceed $174,050.
So moved.
I'll second.
All righty, Mr. Neville.
I'm very happy to bring this item to the committee. We've been working on this for quite some time. The background, we were looking to find an alternative water supply for the northern section of Hoffman Estates that could supply that area of town should either A, the water mains be disrupted for a long period of time on Huntington and Ela, or if we did have a Jawa interruption of all the water from Jawa. We've been working with the Village of Palatine for a little over a year, back and forth. We did get delayed a little bit with the pandemic and everything, but we recently had a joint meeting with the directors and the managers from both communities. Everybody came to agreement on the IGA, and the other director of Public Works and myself were pretty satisfied with the proposal from Baxter Woodman. So we're anxious to get the project started. I think it'll be a huge benefit to the village, to both villages actually. They can get water from us if they need it, and we can get water from them if we need it. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Trustee Palafis.
Just a quick process question. Are you the person that makes the decision if we have to cut over? Or is there some other process? Is it a group or?
We would contact the Village of Palatine. We wouldn't just open the valve up and start taking water from them. We would notify them to make sure that they were capable of providing us water at the time, and vice versa. The system that has to get set up, our pressure is significantly higher than theirs in that area, so we actually would have to turn on a booster pump to pump water from their system into ours. The reverse of that, if they need to borrow water from us, there's a pressure reducing valve that the water would have to travel through to reduce the pressure for it to be usable for them.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Norris.
I should say that it would be fairly seamless though, because if you do have a water disruption, system disruption of the size that would require the interconnect to be activated, it would be a very quick process. It would probably be a phone call.
Yeah, and we already have elevated storage in North Hoffman, so it's not like we would need to activate this, within 5 minutes of there being a disruption of water service. This would be something that we would know was coming within hours or perhaps a day or two lead time with the amount of water that we would have in storage. But if we were to see a significant disruption of water for whatever reason, we would be able to call Palatine, let them know they could prep some of their stuff, maybe raise the elevation of their towers and some of their storage on their end. They do receive their water from Northwest Water Commission, which is Lake Michigan is the source, but it's a different straw in the lake. Ours originates out of the city of Chicago. Theirs originates well north of Chicago. So
Evanston.
They're the Evanston plant.
Okay, I'm not sure who was first. Trustee Mills? Okay.
Thank you. Two questions. First of all, this says under financial impact that it's covered as part of our bond-funded capital improvements projects. How much did we have budgeted in that for this? Do we know?
I'm trying to think for the total project. The total project cost is going to be probably 1.5 million. Now, we're responsible for only 50%.
Okay.
I want to say we have 500, or we had 500,000 in the capital improvements budget. I don't know if that was for this year or for next year. We're trying to guess when we think the projects are going to come to fruition. We knew that there was a significant amount of stuff that needed to be worked out when you're dealing with two government entities, but I know we have a significant portion of that already covered in the capital improvements fund through the bond.
Okay.
And I know we do have a little bit of extra bond money from other projects that have come in under budget or projects that we've put off.
Okay, and the second question is, now if we use their water, we have to pay them back at their rate, and vice versa. Are we going to be running at about the same cost of money, of water?
I'm not sure what their Jawa cost is or what our Jawa cost is when it's compared. It's not something that's going to come up frequently.
No.
This is once, hopefully. This is
Their cost of water, raw water, is
Less.
significantly less from Evanston than what ours is from Chicago. So it's going to be more of an issue for them if they're taking from us, and whether or not they'll be whole based upon what they charge their residents. We'll definitely be whole.
Okay, because I know years ago it was that Palatine charged an enormous amount of money for their residents.
Well, that was
Water.
pre-Lake Michigan water. That's when they bought the Ferndale Heights water system.
Okay.
I happened to have worked there then, and it's long since passed.
Good.
They're still paying under $1 per 1,000 gallons for raw water. We're paying over $5.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Stanton?
Joe, could you explain the system as to how it works?
So just the basics of it, it was actually an idea that Kelly Kerr had, our assistant director, when we first started taking a look at it. And he said, hey, what about the Little City property and putting something through the Little City property? So we took a drive up through Little City and kind of cruised around their area there and saw that they were actually building some new buildings in that community for additional residents to live there. It looked like it had some brand new fire hydrants and everything, so we sat down to take a look. We contacted Palatine to get a copy of their water distribution plan. So they're actually going to tap on to the Palatine system. There's a townhouse subdivision that's just east of Little City that has water mains that stub out and they just dead end at the end. They're going to extend that. They're going to go through the Little City property and upgrade the size of the water mains. The Little City water mains are only 4 inches, so 4-inch water mains don't provide a whole lot of water as far as flow goes through them. This is also going to help supplement Little City's ability to do fire protection and the pressure and volume through Little City. So we, Mr. Norris, myself, the manager and director from Palatine all sat down with the Little City people and with their executive board and did a presentation on what we wanted to do. It improved their system so much they were on board almost immediately. It was a really good idea.
They've already granted all the easements necessary for the project to be constructed. They fully endorsed it, and there's an agreement that's been executed between Little City and Palatine. Since Palatine will own the water mains going through Little City, we don't have to be a party to it.
So once that was done, essentially the water mains are going to be upsized to be able to flow the volume of water needed for the interconnect. And then on our property, we have an existing well house that's right on our property near a park. We're going to put our booster pump station right there. It's going to be a small building. It doesn't have to be very large. We're going to put the booster pump station and the pressure reducing valve right there. So it'll connect the two systems, and we'll have the operating structure will be in Hoffman Estates, and we'll be the primary entity that does the maintenance and takes care of that structure. And Palatine is going to kind of keep an eye on their water mains as far as the water, because most of the water main length goes through Little City or Palatine. So that's kind of the connection in a nutshell.
Is there one pipe that feeds the water to one pipe for us, or do we have one pipe that feeds into a certain pipe,
It'll be one that goes both ways.
one that goes both ways?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
All right,
And
thanks.
they'll hit that structure, trustee Stanton, and then the valving, there'll be multiple pipes within that structure, because as Mr. Nubble said, we have to reduce the pressure going to Palatine if we're serving them, but they have to pump in essence, so there'll be, inside the structure, there'll be more configuration, but going into that station, there'll be one pipe, coming out of the station, there'll be one pipe.
All right, thank you.
And the Palatine does have future plans, their tentative plans in the future to put another tower located on the south end of their municipality. Baxter Woodman has done the calculations, and even without the tower, we're able to get 1,000 gallons a minute, which is a tremendous amount of water to be able to get as a backup. Once that tower is constructed, it'll help improve that volume significantly. So we might be able to get 1,200 to 1,500 gallons per minute out of there, which we might, depending on the day, that could supply North Hoffman completely, indefinitely. So that's a huge redundancy for our system.
Okay, and I just have one question, Mr. Neville, that this thing is for the north end, correct? Because we have things for the west and the south interconnects.
We have backup wells that we have kept from when the village was on well water. Recently up north, we had to abandon one
Yeah.
because we had some issues with
Right.
it testing out correctly with the EPA. So we had already abandoned one. So right now, it kind of limited us as far as our redundancy up north to provide water. Those wells, we can provide water to the residents, however, it's well water. So if we were to switch over to well water, you would have a significant difference in water quality. Well water, you have high iron, you can have hydrogen sulfide smell, you can have a lot of other factors that are in well water. It's still safe to drink, but it'd be a significant impact to the residents.
Right.
With the Palatine source, it's still Lake Michigan water. It's treated virtually the same as the city of Chicago does, so the residents may not even notice a difference at all if we did have to switch over. We are going to also, once we kind of get this done and we have a couple other big projects, we've already been in contact with the village of Schaumburg, and I've talked to the public works director in Schaumburg. He's all for, connecting us in one or two locations somewhere in South Hoffman as well. So we're working to do as much as we can as far as redundancy goes. I think it's
Right.
a prudent thing.
The good thing about an interconnect with Schaumburg is Schaumburg has an interconnect, even though they're part of our JAWA, they have an interconnect with the DuPage Water Commission. So again, if JAWA would fail, the ability to get fed from an alternative supplier is a big benefit. So if Schaumburg can take it from DuPage and then interconnect with us, that would help the soft pressure zone big time. So
Right.
it's something that Joe is looking at, but it's going to be down the road.
Okay. Alrighty, any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Neville. Item number 2, request authorization to award contract for Public Works Fleet Services trench drain replacement to Tracy and Ed Construction out of Bartlett, Illinois, which is the low bid, in an amount not to exceed $51,995.
So moved.
Second.
Alrighty, do you have anything to add on this? Mr.
Just
Neville?
real quick, last year, we actually budgeted to do this project last year. It was our estimate to budget $30,000, and we got some bids and found out we severely under budgeted because it's not a routine project. So we increased the amount and we put $50,000 in the budget this year, and through the bid process, it looks like we got pretty close, so.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 3, request authorization to award contract for the 2020 roadway pavement markings to Preform Traffic Control Systems LTD out of Elk Grove, Illinois, which was the low bid, in an amount not to exceed $42,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything to add, Mr. Neville?
There's a pretty significant discrepancy between the two costs. I've gotten a couple of different explanations. One is a lot of these companies have a regional, like, I think Preform does a lot of the neighboring communities, so their mobilization costs, they kind of come out and they'll hit, us in another town in close proximity. We've been using Preform for a number of years. Marketing Specialist has provided us bids in the past. They're generally higher. I think their regional area must be in a different spot, so for them to come to our area is what adds to that cost.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Neville. Under reports for information only, we have the Department of Public Works monthly report. Do we have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. We will receive and file that one. And then also the Department of Development Services monthly engineering report of the Transportation and Engineering Division. Do we have anything to add? Nothing? Okay. So we will receive and file that report. And President's report?
Yeah, I got a couple things. One, I'd like to remind anybody who hasn't taken the census yet to visit www.census.gov. Please do. That's very important for our community and our state of Illinois. I did get a couple of thank you letters. One was to Dear Mayor, Fire Department, and Police Department. Would like to sincerely thank you for driving by yesterday, June 21st, to make my twins, Lucas and Matthew's graduation drive-by party so special. At first, they both were not sure what was happening when the sirens went off. Then they got embarrassed and knew it was for them. They're disappointed that Frem could not have an actual graduation ceremony or any special senior events. So by having you drive by for a few minutes made them feel special. I truly appreciate you coming out and doing this for them. They are both excited to be going to campus out of state in the fall. And then there was one on Facebook regarding road repairs. Just wanted to say how pleased I am with the work done on Mason Drive. I've lived here for 48 years, and I can honestly say the road and sidewalks have never looked better. It may have taken a little longer than the projected time frame, but it was worth the wait. Job well done. Another well-satisfied customer. Okay, last week we had our Emergency Operations Center meeting on Tuesday morning. On Wednesday, I called in the Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Committee meeting. And following that, Jennifer Georgievic and I went to Vicki Anderson's and read a proclamation for her on her birthday. And then Wednesday evening, I participated in the virtual inauguration of Kathleen O'Hara as the head of the Northwest Municipal Conference. I know she'll do a fine job. On Friday, the 19th, Mike Hankey and I were on Invest and Cook call regarding Shoe Factory Road. And then later that afternoon, I was in on the All Mayors COVID call with the United States Conference of Mayors. As mentioned, we did the drive-by on Sunday. And today we had a phone call with President of the County Board, Tony Preckwinkle, explaining to the Northwest and Southwest suburban municipalities how money would be distributed that received under the CARES Act and the requirements for our expenses to be well documented. And I guess that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we have nothing under other or items in review. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed, and we are adjourned.
Yes, I'd like to call the Public Health and Safety Committee to order in the Village of Hoffman Estates on June 22nd, 2020. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Gata,
Present.
Vice Chairman Palafis,
Present.
Trustee Newell,
Present.
Trustee Mills,
Present?
Trustee Stanton,
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you, and we have a quorum. And number 2, approval of the minutes of June 1st, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Nothing under new business. And then under reports, information only, Police Department monthly report. Hearing none, received and filed, except that I have a short letter to read. And since this is handwritten, it's just a little difficult to read. Anyways, it says, Dear all Hoffman Estates Police, thank you for your service and I appreciate you keeping our community safe. I pray for your safety. Thank you sincerely, Katie. So anytime that we can give praise to the police department with all the trouble that has been going around for them, we're absolutely, and not only that, the thing is that we're very fortunate that we live in Hoffman Estates and have the police department that we do have. Okay, received and filed for them. Number 2, Health and Human Services Monthly Report. Received and filed. Emergency Management Coordinator Monthly Report. Hearing none, received and filed. Number 4, Fire Department Monthly Report. Hearing none, received and filed. President's Report.
Nothing else, Chairman Gato.
Thank you. Nothing in other. Items in review. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee tonight, June 22nd, 2020. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Palafis,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Newell,
Present.
Trustee Gata,
Present.
Trustee Mills,
Present.
Trustee Stanton,
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
And thank you. We have a quorum. We'll entertain a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes from June 1st
So
meeting.
moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The motion carries. We have 5 items under new business. The first is the presentation of the comprehensive annual financial report for the year ended December 31st, 2019.
I'll
Rachel?
take over.
Okay,
I
thank you.
gave each one of you one of our final comprehensive annual financial reports. We've concluded another successful audit, and we've ended fiscal year 2019 on a positive financial note, specifically relating to our operating funds. The general fund is showing an increase in fund reserves of almost $879,000. This is well above the planned drawdown that we had of $1.2 million. Several revenues ended the year over budget, contributing to that balance, including real estate transfer tax, positive building permits, and income tax. We ended the year with unassigned fund balance at 32%, which is above our required 25%. In terms of the village as a whole, you'll see that our liabilities exceeded our assets by $54 million. However, as we talk about every year, this includes the EDA liabilities of $119 million currently as of the end of 2019. And remember, these are liabilities that don't have a corresponding asset, and these are liabilities that will not have to be paid back by the general fund or any of our operating funds. So if you take that out of the balance, we have assets over liabilities of $62 million, which is a very healthy position to be in. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have related to this year's audit or CAFR.
Anyone have any questions? Anyway, Rachel, this is our first year of using the new company. Positive notes, anything different?
It's always good to have a fresh set of eyes looking. So it was a good run with BKD, very professional. They know what they're doing. I felt like they really gave us some good input, and it was a positive experience with them.
All right, fantastic.
Good job.
Some great numbers, good job.
Yes.
Alrighty, moving on then to item number 2. We have a presentation of the Economic Development Area Special Tax Allocation Fund Annual Financial Report for the year ended December 31st, 2019.
So you're all aware that we are required by state legislation to have a special audit done of the EDA Special Tax Allocation Fund. This fund is just a flow-through fund of the EDA property taxes that come in and then how they go out to the developer and the taxing districts. 2019 went as expected with over $16 million of property taxes coming in. Not all of those funds were distributed, however, you'll see those represented in the financial report, about $10 million. Just due to the pending litigation that's happening, we were told to hold on to those funds. And again, I'd welcome any questions you may have related to that report.
Does anyone have any questions about the Special Tax Allocation Fund? All right, having none, we'll acknowledge that both of those have been received. Thank you very much. And then item number 3 is the long-awaited for request approval of an ordinance and naming rights agreement with Now Health Group Incorporated, renaming the Sears Center Arena to the Now Arena in an amount of $11.25 million over a 15-year term.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you. Do we have anyone who wants to present? I see we have a guest appearance here by Mr. Copland. And Ben, of course.
Good evening.
Good evening. I know, right?
Better? So as you are aware, we've been working with our friends at Now for a number of weeks and a couple of months to come up with a new naming rights agreement. The second item on the agenda is the termination of the existing agreements. Obviously, that needed to have the cooperation of Sears before we could enter into negotiations and discussions with Now. The agreement itself is structured very similar to the Sears agreement in terms of the parts that are in there. Much of the language is the same, and then we tailored it for Now as to some specifics, some of the things that they wanted to activate. One thing I can assure you is they will be a more active partner at the arena on a month-to-month basis than Sears was pretty much at any point in the 16 years. I could go through every section in the agreement, but it's probably better to ask if you have any questions.
Yeah, sure. Anybody have any questions? We just dive in and ask Mark. Trustee Stanton?
Is Sears going to be involved whatsoever anymore with the arena?
At this point, not after September 1, although there's always the possibility that we could work with them on a separate type of sponsorship at the arena or across the street at the Village Green or elsewhere in the village.
Yeah, that's what I meant by a sponsorship or something of that nature. I know they had the Shop Your Way thing, and I assume that's going away.
Dan, have you had any discussions with them?
No, as it relates, can I touch this? How does this work? Can I get a disinfectant? Anyway, no, so Sears currently, there's no agreement in place. I think we'll have some sort of partnership with them on some level. They did express an interest to be involved with the community going forward. I don't know what that'll look like, but all the assets that Sears received in the building will be transitioned to Now. So the Shop Your Way Lounge will turn into the Now Lounge or something to that effect. So right now, nothing in writing, but they've been real good partners, I have to say. They've been very supportive and done everything we could ask of them. So obviously, it's bittersweet to see them go, but we're excited for the, naming rights 2.0.
Sure. So am I.
Trustee Mills?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for everyone. And from what I read, Now would be responsible for all the changing of the signs. We would not be paying for any of that.
Correct.
That's a
on top
separate
of,
payment.
Yeah, that's on top of the investment of the rights is the production, which they'll pay for, yeah.
Okay, that's great. And, shoot, there was
To
something.
add on to that, Trustee Mills, we are working on an update to the master sign plan. So some signs will move, some will be a different configuration, basically the same size, some will be larger. So we're exploring that, and I'll be working with Pete Gugliotta on that.
Okay.
Actually, we have a phone call tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to start that process, but anticipate that going to the Planning and Zoning Commission sometime, hopefully in July.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Norris, did you have anything to add? on the-
I just want to underscore something that Mr. Gibbs said. When we met with the individuals from Sears/Transformco, we did ask them and encourage them to remain involved in the community. They indicated they wanted to. But as Ben said, they don't know what form that will take, and they're going to wait till after this agreement expires to engage with us on that.
Oh, I did.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Gata?
Yeah, is there anybody here from Now that they would like to present themselves to the board?
Gentlemen?
So we have Dan Richard and Jim. Jim, how do you pronounce your last name? Emmy. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Emmy. I'm Chief Executive Officer of Now Health Group. And we are very pleased to have this opportunity. We're a natural products wholesale manufacturer and distributor, and we also have retail operations called the Fruitful Yield, 12 stores throughout the Chicagoland area. Privately held, family-owned business, and we couldn't be more excited about the opportunity. We think there are good synergies for everybody involved, and thank you all for your support. And as my colleague Dan Richard pointed out, we do have some small gifts, brief samples. Hopefully they're compliant with your rules and regulations. If not, get them into the hands of somebody you know that it'll be compliant. But I would welcome any questions you have about us or what our intentions are. Yes, we are fully prepared to fund the entire sign change operation and maintain them. We're a global company. Our products are sold in nearly 70 countries around the world, and we're the #1 brand on Amazon. So we're a little company that got bigger, and here we are.
Yeah,
So
fantastic. Trustee Mills?
All right, now you're going to bring a Fruitful Yield store to Hoffman Estates. That'll be the
you
next
you never say never. We're up in Schaumburg, or down off of Higgins, so we'd have to make sure we didn't compete against ourselves. But hey, you know, this is the beginning of a relationship. Who knows where it'll lead?
One other question for staff, though. This has all been cleared through Windy City Bulls also, correct?
Yes, Windy City Bulls have been advised. There are some issues that we are working through with them and the G League about signage and signage placement, but they're not of a magnitude enough to cause anything to be delayed with these agreements.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, we appreciate you coming tonight, too.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah,
Appreciate your
Good
support.
questions. Anybody else have any questions? I actually had one in terms of the old equipment that we pull out that has the old Sears Center Arena info on it. Normally, we go through some type of letting in terms of getting rid of old stuff.
You want the stick figure? Is that what you're asking? 'Cause I could have that dropped off at the house.
No, I don't really. Montgomery, I was just curious, what's the plan? Are you just,
So more than likely, when you do a signage change, the company doing the installation would also agree to take everything away. If we have a different process, if we had to do something inventory, we could do
Right.
that, but usually they just take
Anything
it off.
other than the signage is a fixed asset of the village.
Yeah.
And we have to go through a surplusing of it. And Trustee Palafis, as you know, that then includes a online auction and seeing if anybody's willing to bid. If not, then we can dispose of it as we deem necessary.
that's assuming that some of the stuff can be taken down in a
Right.
manner that it can be reusable.
not breaking it, yes?
The stick-on letters on the side of the building, obviously, those are going to be trashed.
Right. And for example, the folding chairs that say Sears Center on them, those can all be redone and made into
Correct,
now
yeah, we'll reupholster those.
and be reused, so.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, I was curious about that in the surplus thing and whatnot. I figure you guys accounted for all that, but thought I'd ask. Any other questions, comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to number 4 is the request approval of a termination agreement and mutual release with Transform SR LLC, terminating the existing naming rights agreement.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any questions, comments?
Just to toss in that, again, we're very appreciative for Sears' support.
Yeah.
Over the last 16 years, they've been a great partner. It's great having their name on the building, and we just amicably, mutually decided to move on. So as Ben and Jim mentioned, we hope to continue the relationship, and we know that they're a great community partner for a number of other aspects other than the arena.
Right. Very well said. Thank you, Mark. Having no other questions or comments, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, the motion carries. Moving on to item number 5 is a request approval of the third amended and restated commercial rights marketing agreement with Spectra Partnerships to service the naming rights agreement for Now Health Group Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Trustee Mills?
Okay, we're going to be paying them 10%, correct? Are we paying anything now for that, for someone to be doing any of that work?
We are not.
Closer to the mic, please.
Oh, sorry. As I mentioned earlier, we anticipate that now will be much more active at the arena than Sears was. And I know Sears in the last couple of years with the Shop Your Way took up a lot of his time. Mike Chopek from Spectra Partnerships has been very instrumental in pulling this deal together. We anticipate that and continuing, and him spending a good chunk of his time on a monthly basis working with Dan and Jim and the others at Now. This is a typical that when they help bring in the deal and help cement the deal, that the compensation is over the life of the agreement, but they will be working for it on every year.
Now, the other percentages that are quoted in the contract, are those correct? There's some other payments in here, I believe, when I was looking at this
Oh,
today.
that's for the other sponsorships
Right.
that they're currently doing.
Those are all the current
Right.
same percentages.
So there were two rates. There was a rate for any new business that they brought in. There was a rate on any leftovers from when we took over the arena in 2010, which are mostly gone now, I think. Yeah. And then this will be a different percentage just on the naming rights.
Okay, but the other percentages are same as what they.
Nothing changes there. It's
Okay.
as it's been for the last
Okay, thank you.
10 years.
Actually, can Mike come up? I just wanted to ask a question or two to him. Plus, he never comes here and visits us, so it's only right that, actually, Mike, I wanted to just get an idea from you. As you know, unless there's been some DNA cloning that you have figured out, you're still the same person who's been doing all the other stuff. So can you give us kind of an overview of what the new responsibilities look like compared to what you've been doing, and maybe synergies of the two now being together? And
Yeah, absolutely. I think it fits hand in hand into a lot of what I do. My regular responsibilities are really anything sponsorship related, anything suite related at the arena, anything advertising related at the arena. So it fits hand in hand with what I'm doing on a regular basis with all of our sponsors, all of our partners at the arena. So everything from signage change out to making sure that we have now product to give to folks on the way out to, taking care of them in their suite and kind of facilitating everything from the proposal standpoint through the contract and then fulfilling it on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Really fits in with, at least personally, what I've been doing over the past 2 years, but then what Spectra's been doing in front row over the past life of the contract and everything. So it fits hand in hand with what I'm doing on a regular basis, and it's just kind of on another level. To Mark's point, in the office, we all kind of saw Ben would get dragged down by Sears pretty regularly. So it's really frees him up as well to build the building back up and focus on events and bring people in.
all that time you're freeing up for him, hopefully it's worth a free lunch or something once a month. But it is worthy of noting, the old, as I work with the arena guys, the old model of the Sears naming rights, it'd be a little bit of Mark, now he's left us, it'd be a whole lot of Ben, a little bit of Jim, all kind of working it. So it's good now that I think you'll be maintaining and, kind of working. It should have been there in essence all along, but, it's kind of one of those carryovers that is finally, merged into the right place, just from my perspective. So thanks for the description. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mike before we send him away? Okay. With that, then, unless there's any other questions or comments, we have the motion and the second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, the folks from Now and Ben, Mark, everybody, Jim. Moving on to the reports, which are for information only. The first is the Finance Department monthly report. Any questions or comments? Having none, we will accept and receive and file that report. Number 2 is the Information Systems Department monthly report. Are there any questions or comments from anyone? Having none, we will accept and file that report. And then item number 3 is Sears Center monthly report. Any questions or Trustee Mills?
I'm asking questions.
It's been a
tonight.
while, Ben, yeah.
Drive-in movies.
Yeah, right.
In the paper. What's going on?
You got to talk for a while. You're behind.
Yeah, so we added, this has just happened in the last like 72 hours. A company that's doing drive-in movies at Bridgeview approached us to do the same concept in the West Lot. So starting the 25th, they'll do nightly movies, sometimes 2 movies a night. They'll do a midnight showing, which I won't be at. That's far too late. So they're renting the West Lot for the month of July. We'll see how it goes. If it works, we'll give them a renewal. So it's a good little moneymaker. It actually draws more bodies to the area, which is good for the beer garden. So there's some synergies there. And actually, so I think we do a movie on the 25th, movie on the 26th, graduation on the 26th, movie on the 27th, graduation on the 27th. So we're doubling up on the West Lot, which will be interesting. Events aren't happening at the same time, obviously, because that would be inappropriate. So yeah, so the West Lot's getting a lot of activity, which is good. I mean, obviously, it's a new world. So we're just trying to figure out, drive-in events, pop-up ones weren't a thing a month ago. So now, I think we're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. So I think it'll be popular. It can only take about 400 cars. So, there's not a lot of capacity. So on Saturdays, on Fridays, I'm sure they'll sell out. So, I mean, that'll be exciting. So, we'll as long as people can't go to the movies, I think this will be something people want to do. So I think most of the movies, the early ones are family friendly, which is good. The later ones are a little bit more adult oriented. So I think there's something that everyone will be interested in. And then graduations, if you guys want to come to the graduations this weekend, feel free. So it's funny when you're mentioning Mike. So in addition to Mike selling sweets, naming rights, Mike will be helping to park cars on Friday and Saturday in the rain. He doesn't know that, but no, he is. He does know that. So yeah, so he is a busy guy. But yeah, no, it's been busy. And the beer garden, I know that wasn't asked, but the beer garden has obviously taken off just because there's such a limited amount of places to go, and everyone who is open has such limited capacity. We can still fit a good amount of folks, keep them 6 foot, so we're pretty lucky. So the last 2 weekends, we've been at 100% capacity on reservations all 3 days.
Wow. Are you going to stick with just Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I think for now, just because until people show us that they want to come Thursdays, I think we're going to keep it finite to those 3 days. But the business is there. I mean, they stay for long periods of time. They consume a lot of food and beverage, obviously. There's been pent-up demand. So it's been profitable, so we're hoping that continues. Obviously, we wish it wasn't under these conditions, but, we'll take whatever we can get.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you. Anything else you want to touch on? Inside events? Any hits or, how are you changing towards phase 4 coming this Friday?
I mean, the building's ready. We have a reopening plan is already done. So we have equipment in-house to sanitize within 2 hours the entire building. So we're ready to do events if we're allowed to by the state. Obviously, we want to make sure it's safe for the people to come into the building, but, that's for the scientists and the health officials to kind of come up with. But we're ready when they give us the go-ahead. From an industry-wide standpoint, they're looking at 2021. 2020, they're going to get through it as best they can, but really 2021 is what everyone's looking for. So all the events that were postponed are just pushing either a full year or to probably second quarter in 2021, which I would say will probably be slow for the rest of the year. When it comes to Windy City Bulls and stuff like that, that's still up in the air. We don't know where they're going to end up. Could be limited capacity games, could be no fan events. It's hard to know. I think we'll learn a lot depending on how Orlando goes when the NBA kind of does their what they call bubble league. If they've got positive COVID tests every day, it's going to limit what they're willing to do in the following season. But if they can get a protocol in place that the players are happy and everyone's safe, I think we'd have a better chance of having a season. So we're going to learn a lot in the next, I think, 90 days. But it's a fluid situation, obviously, we all know. So while I don't think we'll get busy till 2021, maybe things change and people are more open to going inside. I mean, I certainly have promoters who want to have events in 2020. So the demand is there. It's just the allowances from the state is the real question. So, but we have promoters who, if I let them tomorrow, they would host an event. So,
Any phase 4 changes for the Brew Garden other than just density? Are you gonna?
we opened up the groups area. So there's a groups area in the back that can take 20 people. So starting today, we started taking reservations. So up until that, but no, for the most part, we can maintain 6 foot. The capacity is big enough that we can handle the crowds. Now we implemented reservations, and so we've been keeping the crowds low intentionally to kind of get a sense of the behaviors and, The mask policy is hit or miss depending on who walks up to us, so we're kind of getting used to that. You don't have to wear a mask when you drink. You can take that off. It's just when you walk around and use the bathrooms. But yeah, no, it's been good.
Any food and beverage options for the movies?
They bought us out, so we can
Okay.
focus on the beer garden. They're gonna handle everything. Now, they don't have a liquor license, so if they want to do liquor, we would have to do that for them.
Understood. Excellent. Trustee Mills?
I see some places are now advertising these outdoor music-type concerts. Any chance of us getting any of those in?
So we investigated that. The issue is production gets very expensive, and the capacity really doesn't get beyond 400 cars.
Yeah.
So, the cars are just so big in nature that the cars got so far away from the stage that by the time we did the numbers and had enough video screens, it cost about 40 grand just to put the stage together. And it wasn't just terribly economically viable. What has been working is people put a stage down and it stays down all summer. And they just do it in volume. But I don't know if there's any money there, to be honest. I think people are trying it. I see a lot of articles of people trying it. I don't see a lot of articles of people saying this is making me a ton of money.
Sure.
So I think the movies are a safe bet. Honestly, I think the beer garden probably has the safest margins and probably has the most upside of anything we could do right now. So things may change, but everyone's trying stuff. But I just, there's a reason people don't do drive-in concerts. It's just not, people don't really want to sit behind the wheel of a car and listen. You know what I mean? It's just not something, they want to drink, and it's not a great experience. So I think we're learning. It's fun to try things. I don't know if the public's interested, though.
Good, okay. Thanks.
On the note of expanding the days, I know, we canceled everything through July, and this isn't the forum to discuss it on Ben's monthly report. But at some point, we promised to revisit the idea of summer concerts, and, that commission would have to meet to discuss. But he has a pretty great model, as many of us have seen, how to space people out, and the demand's there. And, they're killing it. So, whenever that comes, or, we're ready to approach that and whatnot through, phase 4 or whatever, I've been reaching out to the bookers because I was the Arts Commission person helping book. They're throwing themselves at us to come play, The masks don't do the justice for the humor, but, they're literally chomping at the bit to get out and play. These bands have been pent up, for the nice part of the season, and here we come into late July and August. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that's kind of the update from that side. So, Mayor, whatever you're ready to take the leash off, I think folks are ready to go. But any other questions for the Sears Center monthly report? Having none, we'll receive and file. Thanks, Ben. President's report, sir.
Nothing else.
We have nothing at other, no items in review. We'll accept a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Anybody want a short break, or? Yeah? Okay. Let's make sure it's short. I'd like to call the special meeting of June 22nd, 2020 to order. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk? Present.
Trustee Stanton?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Trustee Arnett?
Present.
Trustee Mills?
Present.
Trustee Newell?
Present.
Mayor McLeod?
Present. Could everybody please rise? Trustee Palafis, want to lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Palafis.
Welcome,
We
sir.
have several items of additional business. A, request board approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Hoffman Estates and the Village of Palatine for the joint engineering and construction of an emergency interconnect of water distribution systems, and two, authorization to award contract for the engineering services, design, and full-time construction management of an emergency interconnected water distribution system of the Village of Hoffman Estates and the Village of Palatine to Baxter and Woodman, Inc., Crystal Lake, Illinois, in a total amount not to exceed $174,000
So moved.
I'll second.
We do have a motion, a second. Anybody want to vote on these separately, or is it okay to do them together?
I'm okay with putting them together.
Okay. Any questions? See no questions, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. B, request board approval of an ordinance authorizing approval of a naming rights agreement between the Village of Hoffman Estates and Now Health Group, Inc., and the termination agreement and mutual release between the Village of Hoffman Estates and Transform SR LLC. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. C, request board approval of the third amended and restated commercial rights marketing agreement with Spectra Partnerships to service the naming rights agreement for Now Health Group, Inc. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? See no questions, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Chair would accept a motion to adjourn to executive session. For what reasons, Trustee Mills?
I'll make the motion. We adjourn into executive session for the reasons of personnel/employment, 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion, a second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. We are adjourned into executive session. We will not come out in open session again this evening. Thank you.